The leader, Warren, no 2.5 for 3.
Next McDade is in the center of the racetrack. Seattle Sloop drawing alongside again.
Four Emblem is still there. Four Emblem, he's pulling away. He's got another gear. Down the stretch like coming the Derby. Wheel away takes command. Lion Hawk is all hot. Smarty Jones is all out. And here is the first undefeated winner of the Kentucky Derby since Seattle Slough of 1976.
The points have been earned. The field is now set for the 145th running of America's greatest race, the Kentucky Derby. Time for the morning workout show presented by TwinSpires.com. And you can see the people lining up on the backstretch. Windy conditions, temperature warm in the 70s as we take a look at the headlines. The Kentucky Derby morning line favorite at 4-1 is Omaha Beach. Perfectly drawn post position number 12 for Fox Hill Farms of Rick Porter. Dick Mandela, the trainer. Mike Smith, the rider. He won last year's Kentucky Derby aboard Justify. Lots of arrivals yesterday at Churchill. The Florida contingent, undefeated Maximum Security. Vacoma, the Todd Pletcher trained duo of Cutting Humor and Spinoff. And Florida Derby runner-up Bodie Express on the outside looking in. On guard, Master Fencer got his first look at Churchill Downs, and he was out under the Twin Spires for quite a while. I think he explored every inch of this place yesterday, hoping to get another look at the Japanese invader today. Joe Christopak alongside Brandon Staubel, and Wednesday of Derby Week, Brandon, is one of my favorite days. We drew the Oaks on Monday. We drew the Derby yesterday. This is a day where we can kind of take a little bit of a deep breath before Thurby, Oaks Friday, Derby Saturday.
Yeah, all the contenders have to be on the grounds at this point, and it's nice to see some fresh faces. Like you said, we take a little break. We get to kind of look at the post positions, get our odds in order, what we think is going to happen. But still got to do some work, Joe. We got to see these contenders on track with the new faces. Excited to see them today, and then possibly a blowout from Master Fencer as well. Yeah,
looking forward to that. And good racing today at Churchill Downs as well. We do race today with a live card. Let's send it to the Muscle Man. We like to call him Mr. Microphone, the third member of our team, James Scully, with Hall of Fame trainer Shug McGahee. James, good morning.
Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Brandon. Yes, it's a pleasure to be joined by Hall of Fame and Kentucky Derby winning trainer Shug McGahee. Shug, you have Code of Honor in this year's Kentucky Derby. He's exiting a third in a paceless Florida Derby, but he really appears to be thriving since he's arrived in Kentucky from Florida, recording 2 well-received workouts at Keeneland, and then turning in a work that really impressed onlookers here at Churchill Downs, breezing a half mile with a strong gallop out. Have you noticed like an improvement in him since he's arrived here at Churchill Downs?
Well, I've noticed an improvement when we got him to Keeneland, and it's continued over to Churchill. You know, I thought I needed after the Florida Derby something to sort of jumpstart him a little bit. So, you know, he'd kind of reached a bit of a plateau. So I elected to bring him to Kentucky and, you know, get a little bit of a change in weather. And, you know, the old wives' tale horses do good in April in Kentucky or spring in Kentucky. So we gave it a whirl, and I think it's worked in his benefit.
Yeah, what about his workout? You know, really a nice move. Did it nice and easy and well within himself, and then galloped out really strongly into the far turn and into the backstretch. Were you impressed by that move?
I was. I think he was looking to do something that morning, and he liked the track. You know, it was right after the Harrow break and had just a little bit of water in it from a little rain we had the night before. So I think he just skipped over it. So, you know, I've been pleased with the way he's done here.
Code of Honor appears well drawn in post 13 with 2-time Kentucky Derby winning jockey John Velasquez. Will you talk tactics with Johnny V? Where do you expect Code of Honor to be in the early stages of the Kentucky Derby?
I would say he'd be in mid-pack. A lot of it's going to depend on how fast the pace is. You know, I don't really think he'll be out the back, but I do think he'll be back, and I think that's where he wants to be. So I think the post is a good post for him, and so I think we'll be back, and he's a 1-1 horse. But, you know, like I say, I hope he's not way out the back.
In the Fountain of Youth, when Code of Honor really accelerated through the turn, essentially won the race with his move on the far turn, and even in the Florida Derby, he rallied past rivals to secure third-place honors. You won the Kentucky Derby in 2013 with Orb, who launched a big move on the far turn at Churchill Downs. Do you see any similarities between their run style and their ability to corner so well?
Well, I think I think this horse is a little more efficient than Orb was, but I think that their running style is a lot the same. I wouldn't think maybe that he would be as far back, especially with Johnny riding him, as maybe Orb was. Joel can get him back pretty far sometimes to make you a little bit uncomfortable. But I think that he will be back and make the one run. But like Orb did, but I think he'll probably be from a little bit closer.
I know that you had been here before. You had finished second with the Easy Goer, and then you broke through with Orb in the 2013 Kentucky Derby. Being a Kentuckian, can you just explain how special that was, and what was your reaction to him winning in 2013?
Well, obviously it was very exciting. It was kind of emotional for me. I'd watched the Derby. I think I came to the first one maybe in '66 or '67, and been lucky enough to participate in it some. We brought Easy Goer here as he was a pretty big favorite, and finished second. Probably caught a track that he didn't like that much, and Sunday Silence loved it, and so it had been building up for a while. I'd always sort of thought that I would like to have won it when I was young to get it behind me, but now that when it did happen in 2013, I think the weight made me appreciate it that much more.
And before we get you out of here, you did mention he can handle. You think he can handle a wet track? I mean, are you keeping an eye on the weather forecast? There's some chance of weather, and how do you think it will affect the Code of Honor if the track is wet?
Well, then again, with the 13 posts, if the track's wet, we ought to be out there where we're not going to be eating a lot of dirt. And I think with his moving style and what I saw over at Keeneland, he worked very well on a sloppy track over there, and here they sort of run over the top of it, and I think he'll appreciate that. I think he likes a firmer track maybe more than a cuppier, deeper track. So I don't think it'll hurt him at all.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Shug. It's been a real pleasure, and we wish you the best of luck on Saturday in the Kentucky Derby.
Thank you, Jim. I'm looking forward to it.
Back to you, Joe.
Well, thanks, Shug. Thanks, James. And James, Jay will be back to pick you up later in the golf cart. Taking a look at the crowd here at Churchill Downs. It is dawn at the Downs here today. We'd like to welcome everyone joining us live on track. Great experience, Brandon. The people are here enjoying a breakfast buffet, enjoying the program, enjoying the workouts up close and personal. Dawn at the Downs is a great program.
It really is. It's a special time, especially the people that live here in town. They're able to bring their kids out, maybe take them into school a little later today. I'm sure the kids appreciate that. Come out and pet the horses. We saw Michelle Lovell's Pony Elwood, kind of a celebrity around here, just coming out, feeding some peppermints, watching the Derby horses. I mean, Joe, with the weather right now, it doesn't get any better than this.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Temperature in the 70s already, windy conditions, and that brings us to the expected weather forecast for Saturday, which is now a little bit better than what I looked at yesterday. Chance of showers down to 50%, high 73, mostly cloudy. Right behind Saturday, of course, is Sunday. And on Sunday, it looks like a beautiful day in the early forecast. If that pushes forward, that would be awesome.
Be fantastic, Joe. A little humid this morning. You can tell me that the weather's coming in, so we know we're going to get some rain. I just hope it's not a complete washout like we had last year.
All right, last 2 years it's been raining on Derby Day. Here's the field, and we talked already about Omaha Beach. Post position number 12, Brandon. We did the draw show yesterday. Looks like the other speed contenders, horses that are going to be forward, are drawn inside of Omaha Beach. He actually could not have drawn any better.
Yeah, and looking at the PPs again last night, now that we have the field set, I think Mike Smith, what they're going to decide to do is use Omaha Beach's speed early on, especially with Mike Smith. He likes to be forwardly placed. I think they're going to go ahead and not mess around. They're going to go ahead and get a forward position in there. War Will has to break. The break is huge. We all know that. Tax has tactical speed from the inside. I think those two horses with Vekoma, a little bit of maximum security, but if Omaha Beach breaks well, I'm expecting Mike Smith to send.
And we're going to catch up with Chester Thomas. By my standards, he drew post 3, not the greatest. What does Dick Mandela think about his post position and the Derby experience? Ed DeRosa caught up with him at the draw.
And, Richard, no one gets to pick their post, but you were in a position where only 2 were left. Is 12 the one you wanted?
Yeah, it was.
Not here,
but none of the posts were bad. I mean, you're just lucky to be here for the Derby.
A lot of talk about the pace in this race. We've seen Omaha Beach when forwardly placed. Where are you hoping to be heading into that first turn?
Mike will probably let him run out of there and then having the 12 post, he'll have the option of being able to size up how fast they're going, and he'll use his best judgment.
Yeah, this horse debuted on turf, took a while to break his maiden. Did the light bulb go off? Did he need to grow? What do you attribute to this winning streak now?
He just matured mentally each race. He was just a very kind, easy horse to be around, and I think it took a race or two to really put the fight in him, and I think we've got that now.
Another one of the expected favorites for the Kentucky Derby is the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Champ from last year, right here on this racetrack, and that's Game Winner, who is very, very accomplished already in his career. He's battle-hardened. He's consistent. One of 3 Bob Baffert trainees in the race, and looks really good here at Churchill since arriving, Brandon.
Yeah, and with Bob having 3 horses in the Derby, he has to kind of spread them out a little bit. So Game Winner actually galloped at 9 o'clock yesterday. So I snuck out there, took a look at him galloping, looked fantastic, went to the gate, schooled a little bit, did a little gallop. Joe, Game Winner a half length and a nose away from being 6 for 6.
Yeah, really good points. Game Winner, the most accomplished of the 3 Bob Baffert trainees. Probably the least accomplished, although he did beat Game Winner in the Santa Anita Derby, is Roadster. Again, as a 2-year-old, Bob thought he might be early on his best Kentucky Derby prospect. Had a little bit of a setback, Brandon. He has been coming back to 4 here in the last couple of months. Won the return race impressively, won the Santa Anita Derby. He's playing a little bit of catch-up, but he could peak on the first Saturday in May.
Yeah, and he's got what you need in the Derby, Joe, tactical speed. He can be taken back a little bit if he needs to be, but if the pace ends up being a little slow, he can be forwardly placed as well. Mike Smith has ridden Roadster in all 4 of his starts, but not on Saturday. Florent Giroux is going to be up.
The third of the Bob Baffert trained 3-headed monster is the horse that looks most like last year's Kentucky Derby and Triple Crown winner Justify. We're talking about Improbable Chestnut, big white blaze on his face, and probably of the 3, the most difficult one to figure out as far as the mental side of the game goes.
Yes, definitely. The exercise rider the other day when we interviewed him talked about the fact that this horse still maturing mentally, going to take the blinkers off. A lot of excuses in the last. You can really almost kind of forgive that effort, and if he comes with his A game, he's going to be tough running down the lane with that big, long stride.
Outside post for Game Winner and Roadster, a little bit more inside for Improbable, but once those gates open, anything can happen. Elliott Walden knows that.
I mean, it's just fun to be here, and you know, it's like when you're thinking about the post positions, you just got to remind yourself you're one of 20, and you've got a chance, and you know, I can't even imagine winning 2 years in a row. I don't even allow myself to think about it because it would almost seem greedy. So, you know, we're just grateful to be here, but we do feel like we got a good chance. You know, we gave him some time off after he won the race at Los Al to get him ready for these kind of races, and the third in the cycles, the one that Bob really wanted, and so obviously we were trying to win the other 2, but he couldn't be doing any better the way he looks here.
As the buzz continues to build all over Churchill Downs, from Dawn at the Downs up on one of the upper floors to the back stretches, you know, radio shows and interviews and news all over the place, and fans all over the place as well. And one horse that all racing fans know, all the general public knows, is Secretariat. And there's a lot of different angles floating around, a lot of different ways to look at the Derby. Came up with this great stat. The Secretariat bloodline has been involved with the last 6 Kentucky Derby winners, all favorites, Justify all the way down to Orb, whether it's the sire or the dam. Those bloodlines contain Secretariat. And there are just a few horses that qualify this year, including the horse that Elliott Walden just talked about, Improbable, along with one of the other Bob Baffert trainees, Game Winner, and the Todd Pletcher trained spinoff. So if it's going to be 7 in a row for Secretariat as far as his distant bloodlines go, one of these 3 horses is going to win the Derby, Brandon.
Yeah, nice list there. Game Winner, Improbable. I mean, and if you're Bob Baffert, 3 horses in the Derby, I mean, that's kind of a down year, isn't it? I mean, he points for this race. I did notice one thing, too. That stat was great, but also, too, how about the fact that Bob usually has a horse that has a ton of early speed? None of his 3 this year really have that big early speed.
Yeah, very true. He's got 3 horses with different running styles, all of which have gotten here in different ways. So Bob Baffert's the favorite in the Derby. Omaha Beach isn't, because Bob's got 3 and Omaha Beach is only 1. All right, another horse that has been very impressive here at Churchill Downs in recent days. He's been here probably a little bit more than a week, is Tacitus. Big, strong, galloper, worker. He just kind of floats over the ground. We've been talking about it, Brandon. I know you've been impressed. This is a horse that has been a tough read for me overall, because I like the way he's doing, but my question is, how good is he?
Yeah, that's what we're going to find out. I mean, the Wood Memorial, he did show a lot of fight. He had some trouble going into the first turn. He had to run down a couple of tacks, and a couple others late. He had to hold off high call. Just showed a lot of gameness in there. 3 for 4 lifetime. He's 3 for his last 3, so he's starting to figure it out. If he makes another move forward, the distance isn't going to be an issue, but if he makes another move forward in here, he's going to be very, very dangerous.
A lot of winners in the post position draw, including Omaha Beach, the 4-1 morning line favorite. Tacitus drew well as well. This horse did not. War of Will has had some bad luck recently after winning the Lecomte and the Risen Star. Difficult journey in the Louisiana Derby, major excuse. They just get this horse back right. It looks like it's all system go. He's training beautifully. He's back to where he was before. Then he draws the rail, Brandon.
Yeah, and I said before reading anything yesterday at the draw that I kind of know what they're going to do here. They're going to have to go. You have to go from the rail. He's been showing speed, Joe. But if you look at the past performances, last 3 works are all bullets. 1 out of the gate, 1 in the mud, and then the half mile here that we all saw on video where he's pulling pretty hard. So the horse is going to show speed. I know it's the one post. I know it's bad. I'm not picking him in the race, but I feel like all things considered, it's not that bad, but the break is huge.
Yeah, he was a horse I was very interested in. I still am. I'm going to use him, just not as prominently as I was before. I'll be using this horse prominently by my standards. This is a horse that has trained remarkably well here at Churchill Downs for the last several weeks. You can see his neck bowed with the draw reins there in the video for trainer Brett Calhoun. Not the greatest post for him, though, post position number 3, Brandon.
Yeah, not the greatest post. He's probably going to have to stay where he's at, save some ground, eat some dirt, but he did that in Louisiana Derby. I like a horse, too, that also when they increase in distance, the speed figure got better, too. He got a 102 Brisnet speed figure in there. The pace wasn't that fast, but he also, like I said, took the dirt, which is big because in the Kentucky Derby, you're going to take a ton of dirt.
Okay, take a good look at By My Standards, hoping to catch up with his owner, Chester Thomas, in just a few minutes. Again, we are here at Churchill Downs, Wednesday at Derby week, dawn at the Downs, and a lot of people on the backstretch as well. We've got a lot more on the show, including the exclusive Derby training time at 7:30 a.m. We'll be back with a lot more on the show right after this.
With TwinSpires.com, you can bet the Kentucky Derby, place legal wagers, and watch live horse racing on any device. New players download now to start your $100 sign-up bonus. Sign up, play, and win today. With TwinSpires.com, you can bet the Kentucky Derby, place legal wagers, and watch live horse racing on any device. New players download now to start your $100 sign-up bonus. Sign up, play, and win today.
We are back on the Kentucky Derby Work Show presented by TwinSpires.com. It is the renovation break. Beautiful conditions. If you're out here this morning, temperature 71 degrees. Track is fast. A little bit windy, but it feels good on set. We are racing live here today at Churchill Downs. First post will be 12:45 p.m. Let's send it back to James Scully with another very special guest. James?
Here on the backstretch by Chester Thomas, owner of By My Standards, and the jockey Gabe Saez. Chester, By My Standards will be your first Kentucky Derby starter. Tell us a little bit about the experience leading up to the race.
Well, you know, it's one of those dreams, living here in Kentucky, being from Kentucky, being around horses my whole life. I mean, it's like a dream, and we're still pinching ourselves to see if it's really coming true, but it's been an awesome experience so far, and everybody here at Churchill's been awesome, and we're looking forward to Saturday.
By My Standards didn't break his maiden until February, and then he jumped forward and upset the Louisiana Derby in his next start. And afterwards, you did quite the victory dance in the winner's circle when the horse came back with Gabe. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, one of our people we run around with down in New Orleans that's called the Chopper, right? So she's always instigating. But, yeah, we were so excited. We had a lot of confidence in the horse. But, I kind of lost it there a little bit, had a lot of fun with it. And, we were really excited. Gabe did an awesome job. And, how do you not get excited when you're first graded stakes? And knowing that you got an opportunity to come here to Kentucky, Churchill Downs being the Derby. So, yeah, it was exciting.
And one more question. The draw was yesterday, post position number 3 for By My Standards. Tell me a little bit what you're thinking about that post.
Well, that's not a bad post. There's been some really good horses win from there. Real Quiet, Alashiba, I think even Aladar. There's 20 horses out there, and anything can happen. But honestly, I think that's a good post for us because we got great tactical speed. Gabe knows this horse does an awesome job, knows how to get him out of the gate. Hopefully we can get away clean. He'll find his spot, and the horse, doesn't seem to anything bother him. So we'll just see how it plays out. Got a lot of confidence in Gabe and the horse, and I wish we were putting him in the gate today, to be honest with you.
Well, Chester, you're a great friend of the thoroughbred racing community, and you're involved in a good cause this year. Tell us a little bit about what you're sponsoring this year.
Well, and I had no idea this was going to happen, but being in the Derby for the first time, they have the Kentucky Derby official apparel, and you sign a merchandising agreement, and we get 10% of the profits from proceeds from selling the apparel. So what we're going to do this year is all the money, the apparel that we get from the sales of By My Standards apparel, T-shirts, buttons, these hats. There's a lot of other stuff. All that money is going to go to the permanently disabled jockeys fund, and they don't receive any money other than from private donations. It's an incredible needed thing, and Gabe can tell you a little bit about that, but it goes to help take care of these guys. They're putting their lives on the line every time they get on a horse, doing it out here for us, and it's a way to give back to them and help support them if they have that bad day, and help their lives, be as normal as possible. So we're really excited to be able to do that and proud to do that. So buy lots of By My Standards stuff, help these riders out.
Yes, sir. And a Permanent Disabled Jockeys Fund, the PDJF, it's a really important cause. Tell us a little bit about what it means to you and, the involvement with By My Standards this year.
Everybody, thanks. Good morning. Yeah, it's a really good cause, and I just want to tell you guys that please help us out. It's, anything happen, God forbid, and we had this program going on, and it's a really cause, and like Chester said it all, and, help us out with this, and hopefully we can go to performance in the Derby.
All right. Well, Chester, you bring a lot of personality to the game, and it's been great talking to you and Gabe, and wish you the best of luck on Saturday with By My Standards.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Back to you, Joe.
I have the pleasure of having been at Chester Thomas's Mardi Gras party in Louisiana. Fantastic. He's a great friend of the racing community. You can see that by the fact that he's giving these proceeds to the permanently disabled jockey fund. So hats off to him. Really, really great move, and I hope others follow suit.
Yeah, great cause. We need those donations, whether it's for that or other causes in there. It's great to see an owner be able to do that. Gabe, such a great guy. I mean, we've gotten to know him a little bit, and Chester, great guy as well. Got to meet him the other night, so hats off to them for doing that.
All right, so Brandon, you're a private clocker, and that's how you kind of made your way onto the set initially because we wanted to get your insight. So we're really going to put you to the test now. People come up with top 10 Oaks list, Derby list. They're kind of fluid. They change. We have asked you to give us your top 5 Derby works from the last few weeks, rated down from number 5 down to number 1. We're going to start with number 5. Take us through it.
Yeah, number 5 is going to be War of Will. Now, we wish everybody could be on the track and I could see everybody at the same time, but the magic of the video world, we can get those works in here. War of Will started behind a mate. He's pulling pretty hard in this work, Joe. This is the reason I have it at number 5 in here. I just would have liked to seen him relax a little more. I thought it was still a good work in here, but you can see he's tugging pretty good in there. He did go past the mate. He's got a nice little extension up front, getting a good push from behind. The ears are up, but he's just pulling pretty hard in here, Joe, and that's the reason I just didn't rank it a little higher. I just would have liked to see him just relax a tad more, but it was a good work, but not a great work.
All of these works are their final works. This one was April 27th and probable April 28th, the following day. This is Brandon's 4th best workout of the Kentucky Derby. Lead up, take us through it.
Yeah, and what we didn't see before this, Improbable was pulling really hard into the work in here, but I talked about earlier, Florent Giroux did a really outstanding job of dropping his hands and getting Improbable to relax here. I thought the work was just kind of okay to the wire, but what you're going to see past the wire is he kind of picks it up again, and his gallop out was really strong in here. You can see that nice, big, long stride, and that's what I like to see, is that a horse that can relax a little bit. He did that later in the work after being maybe a tad engaged, and then he really galloped out strong here. I thought Florent Giroux did a great job of getting him to relax and finish up like he did. Very good gallop out.
First 2 works we saw were right here from Churchill. We're going to take you to Southern California for Game Winner's final work, Brandon.
Yeah, second in the Santa Anita Derby, Bob says we're not going to get run down, so he goes 7 furlongs. You just don't see that anymore. He's on the inside in here. In my opinion, he's never been the strongest workhorse in here, but he's going to get a couple of nudges from, I believe, Martin Garcia up, and really kind of extends his stride late. This was a fitness-building drill more than anything, in my opinion, but the way he's doing it and the fact that he's not exactly the strongest workhorse in the world, you can see the push he's getting from behind. You can also see that hind end built up, telling me he's extremely fit for this race.
Horse that's been getting rave reviews at Churchill Downs for several weeks now is By My Standards. The final work, no exception to the others.
Yeah, we just saw Gabriel Saez there, and Chester Thomas very confident, and he should be. This horse is trained well in here. Really 3 or 4 works over the surface in here. Everyone's been really good. The best thing about these works have been the gallop out, Joe. Gallops out like a beast in here. You can see the ears up, just flopping. A little bit of a reach down the lane. Good push from behind. Gabe's just going to kind of flag the stick a little bit past the wire, and he's going to gallop out really all the way back to the track kitchen.
Yeah, very efficient mover with a tight hold all the way through that work for Gabe Saez. And the number 1 workout, Brandon.
You know, I'd like to have a 30, 40 to 1 horse up there, but I was here in person, down in the stands, watching Omaha Beach work. He just did it so easy in here, and I had a couple different horses on the watch at the time. I didn't have the exact split until I went home and did the math, and when I came up with 59, it was 58-4, 59, same thing, but it was the way he did it. Julian had such a light hold on this horse, doing it easy. He's got speed, but he relaxes. That's the biggest thing you want to see. He did it in the Arkansas Derby. This work was outstanding. I give it an A.
An A from Brandon on Omaha Beach's number 1 workout, morning line favorite. We've got a lot of horses we haven't seen yet, hoping to maybe get a glimpse of Maximum Security, Vekoma, maybe the Todd Pletcher trained duo, Cutting Doomer spinoff, Lodi Express, another horse, and maybe the Japanese Master Fencer for another tour of Churchill. Live training right after this.
With TwinSpires.com, you can bet the Kentucky Derby, place legal wagers, and watch live horse racing on any device. New players download now to start your $100 sign-up bonus. Sign up, play, and win today.
Where the sun shines bright on my old Kentucky home. It's summer, the people are gay. The corn tops ripe and the fields are all in bloom, and the birds make music all the day.
Today, we share the best of Kentucky. It's our Woodford way.
With TwinSpires.com, you can bet the Kentucky Derby, place legal wagers, and watch live horse racing on any device. New players download now to start your $100 sign-up bonus. Sign up, play, and win today.
We are back on the Kentucky Derby Workout Show. As you can see, fans of all ages enjoying. We're waving back at you. Fans of all ages enjoying the proceedings here. We're going to start the show the training period with Roadster. Roadster drew an outside post for the Kentucky Derby, 1 of 3 for Bob Baffert, and making a nice appearance here, Brandon.
Yeah, if you're watching at home, get your pen and paper ready. Rapid fire here. Roadster on his way out here. Jog. He's made a nice impression all week. It is a little humid this morning. One thing to just take note of, if a horse gets a little warm out there, I wouldn't look into it too much. Now, if they're completely lathered up, something you may want to take into consideration. But if the horses get a little worked up out there, a little lather, it's not a big deal. Humid here with the impending weather.
Here's your morning line favorite, and a good draw for this guy. Post position number 12 for Omaha Beach. Brandon's #1 workout, and he's won 2 in a row. Lots of fans on his side.
Yeah, look how fit he is behind. I mean, looks great in there. How about just that confident, nice walk you like to see? One thing that you love to see about the horsemen is the way they keep their horses calm and cool. It's the mindset that we talk about a lot of the time. They have to be able to control themselves. They've got the speed, but they got to be able to relax as well.
Speaking of mindsets, here is Improbable. He was a mess when he had the blinkers on in the Arkansas Derby in the starting gate. Got out of there, was on the wrong side of the racetrack as far as being inside, got outside, and then chased home Omaha Beach in a really good performance despite those circumstances, Brandon. Blinkers off for the Kentucky Derby. Looks pretty relaxed out there.
Yeah, he does look relaxed in here. I believe the exercise writer referred to him as a bad boy. We've got War of Will, also known as a bad boy. Maybe it's
I know all about that.
Maybe it's something about the face. You know, they both have the big blazes. But, yeah, he looks relaxed out here, and we're just going to get a little jog in and a little gallop. And that's the biggest thing I think right now for Improbable is to keep him relaxed.
This is a horse that was completely off my radar until I saw that workout the other day. In Florida, Cutting Humor, 1 of 2 for Todd Pletcher. Nobody started more horses in the Kentucky Derby, and making his first appearance here at Churchill Downs this week.
Yeah, he looks good out there. The workout was really nice. He did work solo, so you do have to take that into consideration. But he was moving well. He was showing speed. Now he doesn't have that blazing speed that you like an Always Dreaming that Todd trained as well. But he's an interesting runner in here. Corey Lannery takes the call. Knows Churchill really well. A horse that I expect to be at least mid-pack.
Kevin Kirstein from our media department reporting that Master Fencer is going to work, so we'll keep an eye on that. And this is our first look at the horse I made my top selection for the Derby. We'll talk more about our selections later, but Maximum Security, first look at him on the racetrack. Brandon, what do you see? Oh, excuse me. Oh, that's not Maximum Security. That is Spinoff. Hopefully we will see Maximum Security a little bit later.
Yeah, Spinoff, he's
First
young,
look at
but
him,
he's
though.
lightly raised. Yeah, no, I do like Spinoff a little bit. I thought he moved forward in the Louisiana Derby. I did think that day, just my opinion, but he's got a lot of speed. He showed it at Tampa. I just thought they maybe need to use speed a little more. You know, speed is a weapon for Spinoff. I think they need to get him involved, and I think from the 19 hole, they're going to have to.
Yeah, I mean, obvious concern would be getting hung wide in the first turn if too many horses are forwardly placed, but you got to make a decision. The horse has natural early speed. It's a weapon for him, lightly raced, but seems to be catching on pretty quickly for Todd Pletcher. Rapid development for Spinoff, who was a good second last time out in the Louisiana Derby behind By My Standards. First look at the Todd Pletcher trained duo of Cutting Humor and Spinoff.
Yeah, look good out there. Ears are up. You'd like to see just a horse that's relaxed. Ears pricked. That right ear kind of flicking back a little bit. Good push. Changing leads on cue. They don't want him to do too much. You can see the rider's pretty high up in the irons. You know, you'd like to see him drop the hands a little bit. But overall, he looks good. He seems to be hitting well behind and made a good impression today.
Master Fencer, again, supposed to work. We'll be trying to keep an eye out for him. Based on how long he was on the racetrack yesterday, that could happen at any time.
Yeah, we kind of, we didn't know what to think after we saw Lonnie here.
Yeah.
He was on track for a while. Easy to pick out Master Fencer is he's going to have those pink blinkers.
Yeah, easy to pick out Lonnie, too. We got a little bit excited about being here for the Kentucky Derby a couple of years ago. Here's Bodie Express on the outside looking in, Brandon. He is the only horse listed on the also eligible list. Second best in the Florida Derby behind Maximum Security, and this horse is still a maiden, but he's a pretty darn good one.
Yeah, good maiden in here, good pedigree. Bodie Meister out of City Zip, fought well in the last. He is that slow pace that Maximum Security set. Now he did draw off, but this one did hang on. You have to give him credit for hanging on at 71-1. Makes a decent impression in here. Hopefully we'll see a little bit more from him as we continue on towards the Derby.
Yeah, very light jog for Bodie Express here. First morning on the racetrack for this horse that just arrived with a contingent of 5 horses from Florida yesterday. These horses get to the racetrack. The first day they're out, Brandon, they don't do a whole heck of a lot. We should see a little bit more from these horses tomorrow, our final workout show here under the Twin Spires before we get to Oaks Friday and Derby Saturday.
Yeah, and you can see here just the riders just kind of taking in the surroundings as well. The horse seems relaxed, and it's got the pony there. They're not going to do too much, it looks like. So just a little leisurely stroll around, kind of loosen up a little bit. But, Joe, they do need a little help to get in.
Yes, they do. They need a defection. And, at this point, it's crazy. The discussion earlier in the control room was how we haven't had any defections from this year's Derby. It's been pretty much the same 20 all along. And there he is, Maximum Security, making his first appearance on the racetrack. Brandon, this doesn't look like a $16,000 maiden claimer to me, and horses don't know the competition they're running against or what the conditions are when they run in a race, obviously, but man, this horse has really taken his game to a new level in each and every start. He's proved his class in the Florida Derby. There are a lot of people that are on either one side of the fence or the other. Either you don't like the fact that he debuted for a maiden claiming tag, you don't like the fact that he's by New Year's Day, although we saw a nice New Year's Day win for Bob Baffert yesterday, and you don't like the fact that he got loose on the lead in the Florida Derby through slow fractions. Those are the people that are against him. I saw a lot of positives. He's undefeated. He was on the lead in the Florida Derby, but to me, he had an extra gear.
Yeah, and I think you have to be on one side or the other. You can't be in the middle with this horse. You have to pick one side or the other. You have War of Will on screen right now.
Wow.
He's tugging pretty good again. I mean, you're from the works and the 3 bullet works coming into the Derby, the post, the way that he's training on track. Now he looks good. I just think he's pulling pretty hard. He's aggressive in here. War of Will wants to run. Maybe he didn't get as much out of that Louisiana Derby as he wanted to get, and you can tell he's just kind of dragging that rider around. I expect War of Will to show big early speed from the rail as long as the break is there.
Let me ask you a question with War of Will. After the post positions are drawn, all the heavy lifting's been done. No more workouts. Do they change up his training? Do they do anything differently with him, knowing that from the rail they have to go? Is there anything Mark Cassidy and his team can do in the next couple of days to assure that he's going to show speed away from the rail and put himself in position?
I don't think so. I mean, this is a horse that has natural early speed anyways. He can be tactical, but he doesn't need the lead. But you can see there, he's really tugging on that
right.
rider. I mean, he's
this is almost like a workout.
Yeah,
I mean, it really is. I mean, this is he's got a little company there. Who's that?
That looks like Improbable, actually. Yeah. So they're getting a little battle. Improbable, a little headstrong there as well. I mean, I wouldn't call this running off, but, I mean, he's just really into the bit there. You can see he's kind of dragging the rider. It might be borderline running off in there. I think it's just the fact that they've cranked him up for this. I mean, the Bullet Gate, Bullet in the Mud, the Bullet the other day. I mean, this guy, he has speed and running on his mind.
He thinks he's going to work. I mean, seriously, he is really tugging around there and obviously feeling really, really good. And you look at the size and scope of this horse, Brandon, and, if you're inside and you're taking dirt and you have to try to maneuver through traffic, you want to be a smaller, maybe a little bit more of a handy horse. This is a big, long striding colt who really does not probably perform very well in traffic. He's going to probably have to go from the rail and make the lead. If you're on the lead, there's no traffic. You don't have to worry about it. You can stride out as much as you want. But this is a horse that, what I'm getting at, is needs to be in the clear.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's where we talk about it at the draw yesterday. I mentioned, I think that you have to go. You have to go. You have to at least, maybe if somebody really outbreaks you, you can go to the outside and get in the clear there. But now I do like to see the fact that the head is not throwing up in the air. His head is down, the ears are up, so he's relaxed a little more in there. Like I said, I think just the way that he's been trained into this, Bullet Gate, Bullet, he's just got speed on his mind.
With him having to go, that may change the complexion of the pace scenario of the Derby. Here's another horse that expects to be forwardly placed, Maximum Security. What do you make of Jason Service's different kind of training style? We see workouts 53 and 4, 52 and 4, half-mile breezes where the horses, and there's Master Fencer. Yep. This is a workout. We'll talk more about Maximum Security in a little bit, Brandon, but pick it up from here.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to go maybe a little more than just a blowout here. This might be like a half mile because it looks like he started on the backside. So Blinkers on. He wore the pink blinkers. He wore those in the race. Went back and watched the race. He's a closer in here, so sometimes what they like to do is just kind of put a little spark into him, freshen him up a little bit, put him on his toes. We'll go ahead and he's going to hit the quarter pole, that big red pole there. Julian Leparoux is up, the rider who will ride him in the Kentucky Derby, looking for the lead change. There's the lead change in there, and then he's just going to tap on him a little bit. He wants him to finish up.
Got a lot of high knee action here.
A little bit of a high knee action here. With the high knee action, it's maybe not as efficient as if you stay lower to the ground, but I like to see that you're getting the push from behind. For me, that's the most important thing. He's going to drop his head a little bit, which I like to see, striding out well to the wire in here. We'll see what the time is, just a little bit of light nudging, and then they'll probably shut him down at the wire, I would guess, but you never know.
Well, actually,
Julian's
there,
going to tap on him and want to gallop out, so that's a pretty stiff move before the Derby, but these are connections we don't really know a whole lot about their training style, so this may be a regular thing for him.
For all of you that are watching in Japan, welcome. Your horse kind of looks like a superhero out there on the track. With that, tell us about the hood, though. I mean, what is the purpose of that?
Yeah, he's got the blinkers on, and then they actually have what I'll refer to as like some earmuffs. And he's got the ears up, just kind of keeping them up, and you can see one of them kind of twitching a little bit in there. Actually, you'd like to see that on the gallop out in there. The ears kind of flicking a little bit, showing the jockey that the horse has something left. Julian gave him a quick little pat there, and then he's just going to kind of pull him up very gently in there. And we talk about workouts all the time, gallops. Sometimes it's as important for somebody like me watching the works, watching the gallops, to see how they pull up. Okay, you want to make sure you pull up to a nice jog and that you walk off with a little bit of bounce. I give a little extra credit, too, if you have a big work and then you walk off the track like you just didn't do anything, you're looking for more.
First Japanese-based horse to run in the Kentucky Derby, the third one. The first one that was actually bred in Japan makes it into the race based on the Japan Road to the Triple Crown. Maximum Security finished his gallop. Brandon, he looks fresh on the racetrack. Certainly looks none the worse for the wear after the ship. Your thoughts on him? He's kind of a bigger horse. Your thoughts on his scope, your thoughts on his physicality? This is the first chance we've got to see him up close and personal.
Yeah, it's hard to see on the screen, but when he came out with the pony, either that was a really big pony or he might be more on the medium side, but he's jogging off well. The ears are up. I thought he did okay. You talked about we were talking about the Jason Service training methods in there, and he does things different than most trainers out there.
He's successful.
Typically you would do that with claiming horses. Horses you want to keep fresh, older horses in there. So he just does things a different way. He likes to open up the lungs a lot more. A lot of slow, long gallops in there. Might blow him out just a tad down the lane in there. And it is a different, unique training style. Don't be concerned if you look at the PPs and you see 4 furlongs at 53. That's just the way he does things.
That's the way he does it with the guy's 30% plus the last 2+ years. And a lot of that, and we take a look at Tacitus on the track just to wrap up on Maximum Security and Jason Service. He did run a horse in the race last year, Freedom's Fire. Everybody thought, he was going to run 17th, 18th, 20th. He ran a very respectable 11th with his first Kentucky Derby starter, a horse that looked like he was a little bit overmatched.
Yeah, one-turn sprinter, actually came back and ended up winning a big one-turn race in there. Switch gears here to Tacitus real quick. Looks good out there, and I've talked about this horse being a big horse, but he's light on his feet, and you can kind of tell he's getting a good bounce over the surface in there. You can see the ears are up in there, both kind of flicking back, saying, I want to keep going, and he's kind of picking up the bit again, which is good, and this horse has just continued to impress in here. Has kind of that grinding running style where he's going to be coming late in here, but he hasn't really done anything wrong here at Churchill. So Tacitus on your screen here. You see those ears kind of flicking back and forth. Love to see that here. He looks like he's going to pick it up a little bit on the backside, and love what I've seen, Joe, from Tacitus. Light on his feet, big horse. I think he's got a little bit of a shot.
If you had 6 workouts of the week, this might have been number 6 Tacitus, because I know you've been impressed by the way he's trained leading up to the Derby. We do have the workout fractional times for Master Fencer, and it didn't look that fast to me watching it visually, and it wasn't. It was actually a lot slower than I thought even. 13 4/5, 26 3/5, 39 2/5. The final official workout time for 5 furlongs. 5 furlongs is the time they're going to give him, Brandon. 105 1/5. And he galloped out 119 1/5. Okay. So, he's a different kind of racehorse, obviously, but that you talk about maximum security and the slowness of those works, and we don't know what this horse does on a regular basis, but does not inspire a lot of confidence.
Yeah, I mean, more of a stamina move is what I'd call it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I like to call those moves maintenance 5/8, where you're just kind of looking to, and then 5/8 referring
Got
to.
a little nudge on the gallop.
Yeah, a little bit of nudge on the gallop out. When I say 5/8, I'm referring to 5 furlongs. Each eighth of a mile adds up to 1 mile. So 5/8 move in there, just kind of what I would call a stamina move.
Win. We saw him on the screen. Here is Vekoma. This is the first opportunity we're getting a look at that stride.
Yeah,
and he does the same thing in the gallops.
I was going to say, if we can, he's still about a half mile away from, maybe about a quarter mile away from the turn in here. But if we can stay here, we'll go ahead and, get this out of the way. Everybody's going to talk about the fact that he's on that left front, that he's got a big paddle on it. Look, horses are just built in different ways. They move in different ways, but it's all about what's good for the horse in here. He still gets a good push from behind. You can see that nice roundness to the hind end back there, telling me that he's got some fitness in there. And once this horse moves around the turn here, you're going to see the left front. He's got tactical speed, and you would think for the efficiency that he shows up front, there you go. As soon as he changes leads here, let's see here. But you would think with that tactical speed he's got, he would be compromised. Well, let's hope. There he goes. Okay, so not as much maybe when he's galloping, but if you go back and watch a little bit, yeah. When you watch the race, it's really noticeable in there. And Ryder doing a good job in here, just keeping the horse relaxed. The ears are up, but the fact that this one isn't maybe the most efficient horse in the world still gets a really good push from behind and shows a lot of early speed in the races.
Yeah, you don't see good horses with strides like this very often as he switches back over there to the left lead in this gallop, opening it up just a little bit more going into that turn. Again, a horse that is expected to show some speed. He will be prominent throughout the Kentucky Derby. Gray Magician, we're getting a look at him coming off that runner-up performance in the UAE Derby. Brandon, Gray Magician. Looks a little bit washed out there.
Yeah, and talked about the humidity. I said it's okay to see a little bit, but we'll see if the rider, the lead pony, lets this horse go off a little bit in here. But talked about the sweat. It's a little humid out here. Little sweat's okay. A lot of sweat will worry me. You can see actually behind under the tail there's a little bit of latherness already. Yesterday, this horse, I believe, came out very early in the morning and just jogged in here. So really the first day of exercise in a couple of days. So be interested to see if they let this horse break off a little bit and get into a rhythm. Something to keep note of, if you're making notes at home or watching here at the track, check him out again tomorrow. If you're seeing the same thing, tomorrow, maybe worse, then you need to take notice of it.
So this is live. We're going to go back to what we saw a little while ago. Give you a better look, Brandon, the Gray Magician. This is
there we go. Okay.
Just moments ago, and we talked about the lather.
Yeah, that's a lot of lather.
Yes, it is.
First time on track. I mean, we've seen this before. Mendelssohn comes to mind. I remember him getting pretty worked up, and then the next day he was better. But, yeah, that's a lot of lather there. So horse mentally could be a little bit rattled by being in new surroundings. Maybe it's the people here. Yeah, you can see him. He's actually fighting the lead pony a little bit in there. So, not the best sign to see in the world, but it's not something that the horse can't overcome. I mean, I think you need to pay attention to the form. But at the same time, like I said, it's just something maybe not in the most positive direction.
Well, think about it, Brandon. From California, Southern California, to Maryland, to Dubai, to Kentucky, over the course of just the last few months. That's a lot of travel. And I personally don't know this horse. We've got people that we know well in California. Maybe we can get a little bit more of a profile on what this horse does on a regular basis, but certainly not what you like to see on the Wednesday before Kentucky Derby. That was Gray Magician. A little bit washy, a little bit anxious on the racetrack here this morning, his second day on the track at Churchill Downs. But on the flip side of it, the consummate professional all week has been Tacitus.
Man, he looks great. See him strutting his stuff out there. That's what you like to see. When I talk about watching horses walk off the track, this is, if you could videotape this and just show it all the time, that's what you want to see when you see a horse walk off the track. He's confident. He's got the head down. He's kind of got that free-flowing, like, I'm the man walking off the track. And then I like to take a look, too, at that hind end, the fitness. The hind end, you couldn't get any fitter than that. Bill Mott, very confident. Love the way that horse looked today.
Yeah, Bill Mott ponying him himself. As you can see, this is by far the busiest day we've had at Churchill Downs. Always happens this way as we get closer to Derby. More people arriving from out of town. We've got Dawn at the Downs. Welcome again to all of you as we wave back to you. You can't see us, but we are waving. And just great to see all these people. We love this atmosphere. I always tell people, Brandon, that, one of my favorite things about the Derby is obviously the race itself, the lead up to it, but just being able to go on the backstretch in the days leading up to the Kentucky Derby and be right next to these horses as they come on and off from the gap to the racetrack, back off again during that exclusive training period. It's kind of like you're seeing rock stars in a band, man, if you're a horse racing fan.
Yeah, it is, and it's all about the experience, Joe. It's just like owning horses or coming to the track on the big days. I mean, just experiencing the whole atmosphere. I remember at the draw yesterday, the Oaks draw is one thing, but there was just a different feeling in the room yesterday for the Kentucky Derby draw, and same thing about being out here in the mornings. And for me, maybe I take it for granted a little bit sometimes because I do get to do it all the time, but there's just some mornings you get out there and you just kind of take a deep breath. You look around and say, man, I'm really lucky to be able to do this.
Yeah, I couldn't have said that any better, and I agree. Sometimes we do take it for granted a little bit. This is my 5th Kentucky Derby here working at Churchill Downs. Started in 2015. American Pharoah's a Triple Crown year, and another Triple Crown since then. And just really privileged to be in the seat. No question about it. All right, Brandon, the time has come. We've been handicapping the Kentucky Derby, the only race you do this for months now. The preps have been run. We've gotten a chance to see these horses train. It's time to take a look at our top 5 Kentucky Derby contenders. My selections have been published. And we'll get Brandon's in just a moment or two. First, we're going to send it back to James Scully for his top 5. And, James, I have not seen this yet, so I'm looking forward to the unveiling.
Yes, Joe. My Kentucky 5 is up at KentuckyDerby.com. And I thought Omaha Beach was the horse to beat coming out of the Arkansas Derby. And just have loved the way he's trained here. He's my number 1 pick, Omaha Beach. He's trained great. He got a great post, has good tactical speed, and he's the horse to beat in the Kentucky Derby. I've got Tacitus, number 2. Brandon mentioned it earlier. He's just looked great on the track. He can go and go and go. And if he gets the right trip, I think he's going to be finishing as fast as any in the stretch. Game winner, consummate pro, as honest as they come. Tough to leave him out of the top 3. And then I've got a couple price plays in 4th and 5th. Code of Honor, a horse I think will make a good run, be in a good prominent spot, turning for home, eligible to hit the board, 15-1 morning line. And then Long Range Toddy is my bomber. I liked his race in the Rebel 2-back, showed good push-button acceleration in the stretch. And he's kind of horse I'd love to get in my tries or supers. Joe.
Well, thanks, James. James is not a chalk-eating weasel, so to see the morning line favorite on the top of his Kentucky Derby top 5, he's got to like him quite a bit. As you see Bob Baffert holding court at the gap here at Churchill Downs, and fans getting a chance to pet some of the ponies here under the Twin Spires. Great experience. Okay, Brandon, we've seen James Scully's top 5. You're next, and I'll finish things off.
Yeah, James and I are on the same page in here. Number 1, Omaha Beach. Omaha Beach is a colt that really, in that 5 furlong work, really caught the eye. I mean, just love the way he did it. I already liked him coming in, and then when I saw it in person, I had to put Omaha Beach number 1. Number 2, Game Winner. We talked about it earlier, a half length and a nose away from being undefeated, 6 for 6. He won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile over this track. Love the 7 furlong move by Bob Baffert. I thought that was big. Was caught wide in the last. Maybe he didn't see Roadster coming on the outside. I want to see Game Winner. If I could give directions to Bob Baffert, which I would never try to do. But if I did, I would actually try to take Game Winner back a little more, similar to what Joel did in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, and kind of spy up everybody up front, let him take back a little bit, wear themselves out, and then come with that big run late. A little bit of a long shot in 3, Tax. I really like Tax, the fact that he's got tactical speed. He moved forward in the last, but that race was his first in a couple of months. I think he got a little tired late. I think he can improve in here. I'm not too concerned about the post because he does have the tactical speed. He should sit a good trip. Number 4, by my standards, trained extremely well over the track. Like the move, the fact that he went from breaking his maiden to a grade 1, was able to sit and take dirt. I talked about how big that is in the Kentucky Derby. If you can sit behind horses and take dirt and then still finish, for me, that's big in my book. And then number 5, Tacitus, we just saw him on track. He looks great. I think the Wood Memorial is going to be a better race this year. I know it hasn't been a key race in the past, but this year I think it's going to be a little better than what people give credit for.
And the greatest thing about horse racing is that we all have opinions, and sometimes they cross-sect and sometimes they are completely off the tracks from one another. And I'm just going to say chalk, goose. My horse is a little bit more of a price as far as top selections go. I like Omaha Beach, and this is in dedication to Mark Johnson, our director, during the simulcast shows. I like Omaha Beach, but I'm going to have to pick him second. I've got Maximum Security on top, and for all the reasons that I said earlier, debuted for Maiden 16. He's by New Year's Day, trained by Jason Service, who's only run one horse in the Derby, and he got Loose and Lonely on the lead in the Florida Derby. All negative factors against him, but that makes a 6-1 shot into a 12-1 shot. Maximum Security is undefeated, and he's won all of his races for fun, and why not? He's going to be forwardly placed. I don't think he needs to be on the lead. I think he was on the lead in the Florida Derby because they went slow. He's very relaxed. He's not a runoff horse. And he found another gear off the turn for home. So why not take a horse that's going to be a bigger price than he should, who's got as good a chance as anybody? Omaha Beach, I don't need to reiterate what James and Brandon already said. He is an obvious contender. Roadster, I think he's on the improve of the 3 Bob Baffert trained horses. I think he's got the most upside. This could be the Travers horse. It's not Travers Day, it's Kentucky Derby Day, but I think his arrow is pointing up off that Santa Anita Derby win. He did win that race under a hand ride, and it was not an easy track to close over. By my standards, nobody has trained better in recent weeks. A little bit of a pick with my heart here. Would love to see Chester Thomas win the Derby. Would probably pull a calf muscle in the winner's circle with the dance that he would do following that victory. He's great for the game, and this is a horse that really took his game to a new level in Louisiana in his last start, and he hasn't missed a beat since. Win. My long shot play. He's looked great in his training. He has some trip notes that I like, and I think this is a horse that will be a much bigger price than he should be as well. Social media questions, people joining us from all over the country and all over the world, and we thank you. Also some questions coming in from Dawn at the Downs, and let's take a look. All right, so Louis from Facebook wants to know what we are thinking for the Superfecta. Well, Brandon and I have talked about it. The Superfecta is the best bet on Kentucky Derby Day if you can afford it. Last year, 3 favorites ran 1, 2, 3. The trifecta paid $150. Long shot ran 4th. The Superfecta per $1. Brandon paid $19,000. For me, we have our opinions. You saw some of them. My list actually goes 10 deep of horses that I would use for first or second. That's how wide open this Kentucky Derby is. Take your time, construct your ticket based on your budget. Take a swing at the Superfecta, but I think you need to take a little bit of time to figure out how you want to put that ticket together.
Yeah, sometimes it's a good idea to actually break contenders up into maybe what you consider like front contenders and then maybe long shot contenders that you don't think they're going to win, but they can wreck trifectas, superfectas. A horse that James had on there, Long Range Toddy, I'm a little interested in. Long Range Toddy, 2 back, beat Improbable in there, the sloppy track last time. But yeah, you need to find those horses that you think like a high call that maybe won't win the race but can add value underneath.
No doubt. It takes a little bit of time and effort, and the best way to win at the races, I don't care if you're playing exactas, tries, supers, learn how to construct your tickets and maximize your money. Learning how to bet is more important than learning how to handicap, and when the two intersect and coincide, you can certainly cash nice tickets along the way. Okay, it's time for final thoughts for this Wednesday afternoon. Just one more Derby workout show to go tomorrow, Thursday. We'll send it out to James for his final thoughts first. James?
Joe, this will be my 32nd Kentucky Derby. My first came in 1981. It came with my parents. I was a kid. Pleasant Colony won that year. And it's just been great this week being here on the backstretch, getting a chance today to see all the contenders on the track for both the Derby and Oaks. And, I think the race sets up well for the horses drawn on the outside. There's a lot of speed in that starting gate in post 5, 6, and 7. So glad to see a lot of horses like Omaha Beach, Game Winner, Tacitus, all draw outside of that, and looking forward to an exciting race. It should be a great finish on Saturday in Kentucky Derby 145.
Well, thanks, James. And we all have our special memories as we take a look at Dwayne Lucas, who no stranger to the Kentucky Derby winner's circle. all of our special memories, special moments. We probably remember our first Kentucky Derby. I've had a lot of different experiences. I'll tell you about those briefly in just a moment. But first, your final thought, and again, your first Kentucky Derby, and what have your experiences been like?
Yeah, first Kentucky Derby, I believe, man, I lived here for a while, or I've lived here all my life, but I never really came to the Derby. I want to say something in the infield, maybe back in 2000. I can't remember if that tells you anything.
Yeah, the infield will do that to you.
No, but yeah, it's been great to be here. I mean, being a local guy, and it's almost kind of like living a dream out almost. You know, I came to the track growing up, hanging out in the paddock with my grandpa, and to sitting up here on the set, watching morning works and being a part of the team, really special for me. I know my family gets a kick out of it seeing me up here, and you know, heard us on the radio yesterday. My brother-in-law and other family members thought that was really cool. So I just being a part of this family up here now is really special. A couple things to take out of today. I thought War of Will aggressive in the gallops. You know, I like to find these hidden clues in the mornings. War of Will a little aggressive today in the gallops again, but I'm expecting him to show speed. Tacitus, for me, was the star of the show from what we saw on the TV.
Yeah, probable, a little bit headstrong in the gallops as well. I've got a feeling both of them are going to show speed. Maximum Security, I wasn't wowed, but nothing negative from him on the racetrack in his first appearance. That'll be one of my final thoughts. As far as Derby goes, I've had all the experiences. My first Derbies were back in the late 90s, Real Quiet, Silver Charm. I've rented RVs to come to the Derby. I've rented full buses to come to the Derby with friends and family to the fairgrounds. I've also been up in the suites with my table kitty corner to George Steinbrenner the year he had Bellamy Road. Had an opportunity to spend part of the day with George and his family, and then obviously working here at Churchill Downs. This will be my 15th Derby here at Churchill, and it's just been an unbelievable experience and a lot of different ways to enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy it from this desk on Friday and Saturday, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. All right. So a lot of giving going on. We saw Chester Thomas earlier with his Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fund initiative. This is another great initiative that we've been doing at Churchill Downs the last few years. It's the 50-50 raffle. 50% to the winner, 50% to charity, 100% worth it. It's a raffle that you can enter either on site here at Churchill Downs or very easy to do. And, you know, just take this website, punch it in, give to the 50-50 raffle. Maybe you'll get lucky. DerbyGives.com. Again, it benefits the Churchill Downs Foundation. Again, 50-50 raffle on site or at DerbyGives.com. That's going to wrap it up for the Kentucky Derby Work Show for a Wednesday. First post today. We are racing live under the Twin Spires. Will be at 12:45 Eastern Time. Thurby tomorrow, and it all starts on the Kentucky Derby Workout Show. 7 a.m. will be the post time in the morning as we gear up for Thurby. Then it's Oaks and Derby on Friday and Saturday. Enjoy your Wednesday afternoon, everybody.